Okay, let's talk about a word that, yeah, it makes a lot of us cringe, right? Discipline. But what if I told you it's not about punishment or some special trait you either have or you don't? What if it's actually a skill, a superpower even, that you can start building like right now? Let's dive in.
All right, so I want to start with a huge question for you. If you could pick just one skill, one single thing that would totally change the game for your health, your job, your happiness, what would it be? I mean, that's a tough one, right? But believe it or not, the sources we're digging into today, they all point to the same powerful answer: self-discipline. And this quote from Leo Babauta over at Zen Habits just nails it. He calls it a superpower. And that's really the core idea we're going to explore. Discipline isn't about locking yourself down or restricting everything. No, no, it's the exact opposite. It's about unlocking your potential to finally do all those things you actually want to do.
Okay, so a superpower, that sounds cool, but what does it actually look like in real life? Let's break down the two paths, right? The massive difference between a life with discipline and, well, a life without it. And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? The stakes are pretty high. On one side, you've got that downward spiral, missed deadlines, money trouble, and just that constant awful feeling of being overwhelmed. We've all been there. But then you look at the other path, and it's the total opposite. Actually hitting your goals, feeling healthier, and having this incredible sense of focus and clarity. So where does the motivation to even start come from? Well, according to Babauta, it's usually not from some happy, inspirational moment. It actually starts with a pretty painful realization that what you're doing right now just isn't working. It's causing you pain. It's that moment you finally look around at the mess and just go, okay, enough. And that right there, that's the spark. All right, so you've got the spark. Now, how do you turn that into a real fire? That's what we're getting into next. And look, this isn't about some massive, scary life makeover. Forget that. This is all about the simple, totally doable art of starting small. Okay, so these are the core principles, the ground rules. First, and this is so important, you gotta start ridiculously small. Like, so small you'd feel silly saying no. We're talking 2 minutes of meditation, not 30. Next, you gotta get comfortable with being a little uncomfortable. That feeling, that's growth. Third, just notice. Notice the urge to quit or check your phone. You don't have to act on it, just see it. And last, and this one is a game changer, you have to change how you think about failure. A slip up isn't the end of the world. It's just information. It's data for the next try. And here is an awesome, super practical way to put all that into practice. It's called interval training. Here's how it works. You pick one thing, just one. Set a timer for like 10 minutes. Super short. For those 10 minutes, you have two choices. Do the thing or do literally nothing. Just sit there. No phone, no browsing, nothing. When that timer goes off, you get a break. Then you do it again. It's exactly like lifting weights, but for your brain's focus muscle. Okay, so we've got the why and the how for building this skill for ourselves. Now let's talk about the where. How does this whole superpower thing actually play out in the real world? At work or at school? Yeah, when you hear discipline at work, your mind immediately goes to getting in trouble, right? Punishment. But what our sources show is that we should totally reframe that. Think of it less like a stick to punish people with, and more like the structure that holds everything up. Real discipline in the workplace is about being proactive. It's about setting up a fair, clear, and trusting environment so that problems don't even happen in the first place. It's the difference between having clear rules from the start versus just yelling at someone after they mess up. Now, let's switch gears to school because this is fascinating. There was a study on nursing students, and I mean, talk about a field that requires serious focus, and they found something pretty wild. If you look here, you'll see that a whopping 61% of them had just average study habits. Only a tiny 2% were rated excellent. So clearly, there's a lot of room to get better. But the big question is, what's the secret sauce? What separates those groups? So the researchers wanted to find that one thing, the one variable that predicted who had the better habits. And get this, it wasn't about how smart they were or where they came from. It was something way more fundamental. And boom, here's the answer, this number. The study found a 0.54 positive correlation between self-discipline and study habits. Now, I know that sounds all technical and boring, but what it means is actually really simple and powerful. They found hard proof that as a student's self-discipline increases, their study habits improve. Period. It's a direct, measurable connection between this skill and doing well in school.
So we've seen how discipline works for you, personally, and in places like work and school. But what happens when discipline goes viral? When it becomes this sort of public challenge? For our last section, let's look at this really modern trend of discipline challenges, where the whole idea gets mixed up with social media.
I'm sure you've seen these all over social media, right? The 75 Hard Challenge, and then its more, let's say, relaxed cousin, 75 Soft. They're both these 75-day programs for building habits, but man, they could not be more different in their approach. And yeah, the differences are huge. 75 Hard is just intense. Super rigid, 2 workouts a day, a strict diet, no alcohol, and the real kicker, if you mess up on just one thing, you have to start all over again from day 1. Oof. Then you have 75 Soft, which is all about flexibility and building habits that you can actually stick with. It's okay to have an off day. You just get back on track tomorrow. No biggie. So at the end of the day, they're really for 2 different things. 75 Hard is all about mental toughness. It's an extreme test to prove to yourself you can do something incredibly hard. 75 Soft, on the other hand, is more about building healthy habits for the long haul. The way I see it, one's a flat-out sprint and the other's training for a marathon. Very different goals. And that really brings us right back to where we started. We've seen that discipline isn't this scary, giant mountain you have to climb. It's a skill. It's a superpower. And it's built one tiny little step at a time. We've gone over the methods, the mindset, the proof that it works. So let's forget about 75 days for just a second. The only thing that really matters is a question right here. What's the one small, almost laughably small action you're going to take today?